Welcome. Today we're here at the Gardens of Ancients where we are getting ready to make what we call our ambrosia. We take frozen grape juice. We use at least 3 cans of frozen grape juice. This is called a carboy. This is what it's going to be mixed in. Carboy tray, double boiler, and those are the essential parts. Besides we use reverse osmosis water, which we'll go through it all in just a minute. I'll put it all together. But these are the essential parts for the first steps in making our Gardens of Ancients world-famous ambrosia. Okay? Now the first thing we do, I'll walk through the camera there, is we unwrap the sterilized carboy in whatever way we can. Now this is something we use here because we mass produce it here. Gallon jugs with a wide mouth on them are more what you would find at the home use. Oh, an essential thing too, I hope they can hear me, we need to have a funnel of some sort. The first step in our process of making our world famous ambrosia is to pour our frozen grape juice into what we call our carboy, which is where it's going to live for the next 3 weeks while it's growing. And we use 3 cans for each one. And any type of frozen grape juice, whatever your flavor or whatever your personal favorite is really it's your choice. We prefer the grape though. But people have been known to use apple cherry, apple raspberry, just plain whatever juice flavor you like will work. And fortunately for us, we use reverse osmosis water, which we find is the best clean source type of water to use for our product here. And pretty much whatever the directions on the can of juice says is what we make. We put that much water in there. And we like to keep it clean. Okay. This is just normal Tyvek shipping material. It breathes, basically. It doesn't allow anything but air to get in there, and the way we attach it to that so that the Amanita, the Ambrosia, has a chance to breathe while it's growing. This is what we found works best. And we're in the pasteurization room, as we call it. We have a hot plate set up with heat-resistant tiles. The water is still in there, the juice is still in there, it's just like it was when we left. And we're going to turn it on. And what we do, again, we have this set up through years of experience, that when we turn this particular hot plate on for about an hour, it will get to the desired temperature of 170, 175 degrees. Which is necessary for pasteurization from the scientific world. And again, this is just a cover to keep the heat from escaping, giving it an all-around oven type heating. And all we do now is wait for an hour. We let this cook for an hour. We have a digital thermometer that will come back in an hour. It'll probably come back in about 30 minutes. And then in an hour to make sure that it's doing what it's supposed to, just to keep our eyes on it. But essentially, that's the pasteurization. Okay, we're here now with the pasteurization. This has been sitting at 175 for, it's about an hour and a half now, but that last 30 minutes is the most important. So I've tested it. The temperature is still hovering around between 170 and 175 is what we like. So all we're doing now is we're going to take it out and chill it. And it sits here until it's room temperature. And once it reaches room temperature, then we will go to the inoculation phase, which is going to be handled in the second part of this video. So stay tuned for all sorts of exciting stuff. Welcome back to the Gardens of Ancients today. Today we are going to inoculate with our Amanita muscaria mushroom the pasteurized grape juice that we created a day ago. And the utensils that we use are as small as it is. It's like an eighth of a teaspoon size. And this is the process of inoculation for the Amanita muscaria ambrosia that we make. First, we take the top off. Oh, by the way, it's best to do this in a non-ventilated area where there's not much wind and not a lot of moisture, as dry as possible and as calm as in the air as possible. The amount we use that might even be too much, be considered too much, but that's the amount I pulled off this time. And we take the top off, drop it in, and put that top back on so we can retain the pasteurization or the cleanliness of the inside of that as much as possible. And then we just place the paper back over, the tie-back paper that keeps it breathing. Fluff it up a little bit to make sure that we do have enough oxygen or air getting into it, and make sure that the rubber bands are on there as tight as possible. And that's it today for the inoculation part of the ambrosia. Okay, here we are today. We're back in the Ambrosia lab. We have a 21-day growth for our ambrosia with the Amanita mushroom. This is the juice layer. There's a skin, and then this is the fleece. It's a very healthy looking fleece in regards to what we're actually looking for. This is kind of like almost perfect, as I would like to say. The next step in our process is to have a jar to pour it off into, separating the fleece from the juice. So we take this off, pick this up, we have our strainer, and a gallon-sized jar to retain the juice. And very slowly, we pour the juice into the jar. The straining is for any residual pieces of, skin that might be undesirable in the finished product. So this is why we strain it. So it's beneficial to have whatever size jar you're going to pour it off into, know how much juice you have to begin with. And over a period of time you kind of figure that out, but we know we're going to get about a gallon on each batch when we do it with, and I know I'm blocking it, but the main thing is that we're showing you how to, it's just a simple pour off. Kind of let this sit on top like that, wait till it starts dripping, and then we'll know that we've pretty much got. There's the drip. Okay. And that's about as much as we want to get from that. Now the next step we do, get this out of the way and cover this. Because we're going to transport this off to our kitchen. We let this sit, like so, until we're ready to come back in a couple hours. Because we can harvest fleece from the skin, which we can use to make future generations. The description of what we're using for the decarbing process of the Amanita. We have a pot of boiling water, stainless steel bowl, and the actual ambrosia that we just poured off. We've got some sterilized mason jars, and that's pretty much what we need to get started in this part of the process. So the first thing, we pour, I'd say about half of the ambrosia into the stainless steel bowl. Or maybe a little bit more than that. This lid that's been keeping the steam in there goes on top of here, and we place this on top of the boiling water. And we wait. And while we're waiting, we stir. It needs to reach to a certain temperature. I believe it's about maybe like 200 for the burning off of the acid that we're trying to get rid of. And one of the things that you really need to do when you're making this, like we do, is to stir it occasionally, because it brings out, it brings to the top, it evaporates what acids and impurities we are trying to get rid of. But over a period of time, this is probably not as old as the whole process, but about a couple of years ago, we recently found that when we take sugar and sprinkle it on top, there's a reaction that shows us, and there's the reaction, that shows us when we get that much foam from the sugar, that we're still at least 30 minutes to maybe an hour away from it being fully decarbed. And we like to keep stirring that because that's what we're trying to get rid of. Eventually, when we drop sugar in it at some point, and that could be anywhere between an hour after we start and 2 hours after we start, that when the sugar is dropped in, there'll be no reaction, no white foam reaction like that. Alright, so we're nearing the end of this. We're going to pour a little bit more sugar in, get a shot of that. I don't believe anything will come back. Oops, that was a little much, but if we're not seeing any white foam, we know we're at the end. Even when you stir, you should see a little something. So we have a final batch here. And we will, at the Society, put it in mason jars, because this will eventually be shipped off to a member, a Society member. Doing this at home, you can just about use any glass jar with a resealable top. If you're going to drink it right away. If you're going to store it, you want to put it in mason jars for any length of time. But that's that. Now we want to put that top on there. 2 hands. Part of the process I mentioned earlier was the harvesting of the fleece. And we like to get at least 2 samples from each batch for future generations. So the process of doing that, well, basically here's the container with the old fleece or the new fleece in it. And this is basically just, if you can focus on that, it's a barbecue skewer that's been bent to 45 degrees. It's got a nice sharp point on it. And we have found this works real well at extracting the bits of fleece that we want. So to do that, we take the paper off, stick this inside, and just drag it along the top of the fleece. There, we got a nice piece there, and we just pop that in there like so. And we're going to put in about 2 pieces in each jar, just for the sake of posterity, as they call. Okay, well, there's one that we have, and these live over here for the next time or at some point in the future when we want to use the fleece as opposed to the powder Amanita for making the ambrosia.